All right. What's up, y'all? Just kind of getting the last minute fixes going on right here. Yeah. It's time for the signal response, man. You know what's up. It's my little side hustle from the jam that I do with Bill Whittle, the virtue signal. Basically what we're trying to do is get down to the nitty-gritty of what this so-called virtue is, because virtue can be anything to anybody. So there has to be some sort of standard, y'all. So we bring to the table what actually does qualify as a an immovable standard for virtue. A lot of people think that these things are living, breathing things, right? And they could change with the generations and change with the times and stuff like that. But that doesn't really cut it, y'all. A virtue has to be something that's fixed. It has to be fixed on something that is timelessly redeemable, right? And now, for me, what I bring to the table is that that standard of virtue is going to be in the Word of God Himself, right? He is the fixed and immovable standard of virtue. But of course, you're going to have people who disagree with that, and they're going to have their own truth, and they're going to have their own idea of virtues. I see you guys coming in. Thank you so much. I see Jose, Seafarers. What's up, Michelle, Dev? How y'all doing? Thank you guys for tuning in. In this episode of the virtue signal, we were talking about, we were discussing cancel culture. And of course, you know that these folks, they feel that they are being virtuous with this campaign of canceling whatever they feel needs to be canceled in the culture. It's like the Grinch that stole culture is basically what we're up against. I guess, being that Dr. Seuss himself was targeted for cancellation, right? As well as other things, from Dr. Seuss to myself, with the shadow banning and all that sort of stuff. Cancel culture is a real thing, right? And it's causing real problems. So, but like I said, they don't think they're causing problems. They think that they're causing justice, and they've even admitted what they really want is vengeance. Regardless of which, they think that these things are virtuous. They see redeeming value in doing it. This country deserves to be punished, and they are going to be the harbingers of our punishment. So, we're just, we discussed this. So I have the link, the conversation that Bill Little and I had, so you guys can check that out. I'm just going to be responding. I'm just engaging those, the folks who are nice enough to tune into what I'm doing, and they leave their comments. Some comments I'm pretty grateful for. I'm grateful for anybody who listens. But then there's some comments where I kind of find questionable and say, well, let's have a further discussion on that. Let's examine what it is that you're bringing to the table here and see if it's if it floats, right? And and sometimes if it floats, make sure it floats like something good, not like floats like something that just refuses to get flushed down when you really need it to get flushed down. But at any rate, let's take a look at some of the responses that we got in that episode of the Virtue Signal. Oh, Bethany says, great points. Right on. Thank you so much. I'm glad that these points are resonating with you. We have YouTube user Cat Lure, Katlur, says that, and I think during and let me kind of give some context to why she's giving this answer. When we're talking about cancel culture, the things that come up in the discussion is basically people wanting to cancel out what they don't find as virtuous in people like us Christians and Republicans and conservatives and things like that. They want to cancel us out because they feel like it's virtuous that love wins, and love can be expressed between same genders and all that sort of stuff. So and in this and if you're not on board with the whole rainbow program as they have co-opted, then you are the type of person that needs to be canceled, right? So this Cat Lure is responding to this mindset that people have, and says that all this rainbow association really disappoints me because I love multicolored lights, right? People like the multicolored, like at Christmas and times and stuff. People like the multicolored lights. Having them all around my desk, both in my home office and the one I have, a full set of rods and cones in my eyes. And this is a wonderful, colorful world. Amen to that. I want the weird association stuff to just go away and leave us all to experience our joy without associations applied to it. I have spoken. Now go out there and make it happen. Okay. So yeah, I agree. Now, the right associations. I'm pretty sure she's like that cat. I don't want to assume that he didn't really say, but cat. I mean, it could be a guy's name, could be a woman's name. I don't know. But at any rate, Kat says, it's talking about these associations, and I agree. It's like we want to make the right kind of associations here, and there's nothing. And God actually encourages us to do that. We're supposed to make associations between these things, especially when it comes to Yeshua, because that's what the book is about. The Bible is about Yeshua, and there are a lot of things that are meant to be in the Bible to get us to associate these things with Yeshua, to prophesy of his coming, right? So these associations aren't bad. What's bad is when people pervert associations, or they use these associations to justify their sinful behavior. That's the problem. And one of those associations being that rainbow flag. So now the rainbow flag itself, the word of God tells us that in the day of the Lord, when it's coming up on the days of the Lord, it is going to be just like the days of Noah. You guys have heard me talk about this before. And leading up to the judgment of Noah's day, in that flood, it tells us that the world went full pervert, right? It went full blown pervert, right? And the world was just wrought with wickedness. So God brought this flood. It took a flood to wipe this stuff out, right? And among that wickedness, y'all, is a lot of sexual perversion. It's anything goes. Men with men, women with women. You could children, the sex trafficking, necrophilia, people having religious ceremonies with having sex with dead people and all this sort of stuff. Y'all, this stuff ain't nothing new. People been doing that for a long time, and that kind of wicked behavior, those things, that stuff was like the law of the land. It wasn't just like a cultural indulgence, y'all. It was the law of the land. It was something that was protected. People could just get away with that stuff. It was oppressive perversion, that became, when people feel entitled to this, like, this is what we want to do, and they want to make it law, then that's just the way it's going to be. And people are going to be subjected to people's laws of perversion, right? We're seeing that come to pass today. So this isn't new stuff, y'all. And it got so bad that God had to wipe the world out, right? And after doing so, he says, when I see that rainbow, it's going to remind me to not destroy the world again by a flood. Well, nowadays, y'all, we're seeing those rainbows again, right? The word tells us that it's going to be like the days of Noah. And we're living in the days where people can just go ahead and say, hey, I'm whatever gender I want. If I want to, I could be a full grown man and identify as a 6-year-old girl, and you better identify with it too, because if you don't, I'll call it a hate crime and I can have your business ruined. All right. That's where we're coming up to. And it's going to get worse, y'all. It's going to get worse. And all these kinds of mindsets and perversions, people thinking they're entitled to what you got. It doesn't, people feeling entitled to whatever sexuality that they want to be, and you have to endorse it, whatever gender they claim to be, and you have to endorse it, whatever sort of social, economic policies that they feel that they want that infringes on somebody else's right. All these things gather under the rainbow flag, y'all. They all gather under that because based in pride, covetousness, theft, perversion, you name it, it all falls under that rainbow flag. And we're seeing those rainbows a whole lot, aren't we? Because it's getting closer to being like the days of Noah when the Lord comes back. And why are they waving these flags, y'all? Because they're waving these flags in mockery of God's judgment. They're testing God, right? That's why you see these rainbow flags all over the place. They're basically flagging in the bluff, right? As if they don't even have any respect or honor or faith in God as it is. They wave it in a bluff, right? Not a bluff, but as if what God is saying is a bluff, challenging him, right? So they're going to have to find out the hard way that they were very, very wrong. So that's, but getting back to what the cat was talking about with association, these things, we're supposed to make these associations right now. We're supposed to associate that flag with the judgment and make sure that we're not the ones standing under it. You feel me? Right? The flag is a very iconic symbol, right? It's something that enshrouds God. It's above his throne. It radiates it, right? That's his, right? Lucifer had aspirations to go above that, right? Where that rainbow is, right? He says, I will ascend north of your throne, right? So this attitude, this prideful attitude, is also being carried out with these people who have this rainbow flag right now. And it's going to have very bad consequences, y'all. And we definitely don't want to be among those who are encouraging or emboldening these people or standing with them. When they're waving that flag, we definitely want to say, hey man, we ain't with that. We're not gonna submit to this. Okay, so let's go on to Darwin Risdon. Darwin Risdon. I see a groovy CJ Rachel in there. Man, I hope I can still concentrate. All right. Now look, we got some all smiling now. Probably not want me to talk right because I'm just smiling so big, because I see her in there, right? We got Darwin Risdon. Darwin Risdon says, Ennius said the victor is not victorious if the vanquished does not consider himself so. In other words, fight the pernicious culture with everything you got. Join forces with like-minded people and push back. Alfonso is one bright guy. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, and I appreciate the comment. Because here's the thing. There is something to consider about that. The victor is not victorious if the vanquished does not consider himself so. Okay, now something to consider. It ain't biblical, because I tell you what, we know that every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess, right? Yeshua is who he says he is. Now, even though every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess, it doesn't mean that they accept it in their heart. Remember, y'all, even demons recognize who Yeshua is, right? But it doesn't mean that they're willing to obey him, right? But that don't matter. You're gonna have the whole world is gonna be those who are gonna be trying to be in opposition to Yeshua. They're gonna be broken to their knees. They will bow by the weight of his power. They will come to their knees. They're not gonna like it, but they will be on their knees, right? And they're gonna have to bite a hole in their lip until it bleeds to keep from trying to say you are God. But they're gonna say it anyway. They won't be able to resist. Right? There are going to be those of us who are going to be happy to do it. Yes, I will. I'm right. I'm taking my knee for the Lord, right? And I happily confess you are God. You're going to have those, but you're going to have those who are going to do it, but do it in grumbling, right? So, but the thing is, all that to say, when he's saying that victor is not victorious, the victor is not victorious if the vanquished does not consider himself. So trust me, there's going to be a lot of people who are vanquished who will not consider themselves vanquished. They will be cursing God for all of eternity in hell, right? Weeping, gnashing their teeth, and cursing God. They're going to have a bone to pick with God forever, right? But we know it's like, dude, you're defeated. They're not going to accept defeat, and they're going to burn in that forever. But guess what? God is still going to be victorious. Right? We ain't changed it. Ain't nobody taking Jesus' victory away from him. They can disagree with all they want, right? You can't take Jesus' victory. So he will still be victorious no matter what, babe, right? But I mean, I dig what you're saying, though. Maybe that's just something that's exclusive for the Lord. maybe he's exempt from that perspective. But yeah, regardless of which, he will be the one who is truly victorious, whether these people want to agree with it or not. Let's see. We've got Always Thinking, Never Sleeping. That's a YouTube user, Always Thinking, Never Sleeping. And says, I find Alfonso to be a more hip and young version of maybe Thomas Sowell. Well, I guess that would be the thing that I'm going to, but in terms of his insight to economics and stuff like that, ooh, man, that's quite a distance. But, I'd like to think that maybe in a little way I got some of those instincts, because I definitely dig what he's saying. But yeah, in terms of being that's a very tall compliment, right? Very, very gracious, if you will. That is a talent, a God-given gift that he has to have the kind of insights that he has, that, I definitely wouldn't mind, growing in for the Lord's glory, to be able to, help people understand. But I'd tell him, say, hey man, you need to check out, some of Thomas Sowell. It's like, he'll tell you all the ate cabbage on this stuff, man. And, it would benefit anybody to check out what he's saying. And if anything that I'm saying kind of reflects that, what Yeah, I definitely appreciate it. But I would tell folks like, but you really want to get the nitty, the deep study of it. Go check out his books. Like I got that book, Economics 101. Man, just that book alone, man, take you, it'll take you up some levels, right? Um, let's see. But anyway, he goes on to say he doesn't just scratch the surface of the subject and puke out the things that others have before him. He goes on to say he dives deep, and his old videos always dove deep. There are some now that are supposed trailblazers, and I've gained some respect for but in my eyes, in no way match the ability to teach like Alfonso. Well, thank you. I don't understand why he's not at the forefront of especially the movement to wake up the Black community to what's going on. Well, I do understand that he has actually always been dangerous because he's not afraid to say anything. I have great respect for Alfonso, and on top of that, I love his music. Thank you, Sledge on. He doesn't only talk, he tries. He doesn't only talk, he tries to give a conservative alternative to the leftist junk out there. I hope he keeps fighting, and somehow he's seen as the figure he should have been already. Talk to text if there are typos. Sure. No, it's okay, man. I'm fluent in typos, so I get what you're saying. And thank you so much for the kind words. And yes, right here when we're talking about, I don't just try to give a talk, I try to actually give an alternative, and just we're talking reason. You guys already get it, right? It's just like the Lord says, when they're trying to tell Jesus, rebuke him for eating with sinners and stuff like that. And Jesus like, hey, look, okay, well, you know what? You guys already get it. You guys are already healthy and all that sort of stuff, right? Well, these people are sick. They need a doctor, okay? And this is going to have to be approached a little bit differently. So, but, for where we are, it's like, I'm thankful that what I'm saying resonates with y'all. You're already wired, to get it, but there's other folks, it has to be approached differently. There has to be a different approach, right? And that's what I try to provide, because these people have been spellbound by these mediums of people who are using these things to be able to capture their imagination and then deliver their lies to them. Well, I'm like, hey, well, let's give an alternative to that. Let's use the same methods that they're doing, and once we got capture their imagination and attention, let's convey the truth to them. So I thank this person for recognizing that's basically what I'm trying to do. And let me see what else is he mentioning in here. I wanted to focus on a little bit. Just a side note, I don't understand why he's not at the forefront of especially the movement to wake up the Black community. Hey man, there's a lot of people that need to be woken up. It ain't just Black folks. All right, it's like and don't get me wrong, man. I know that your meanings are your intentions are well-meaning, but a person who has a good message is a person who has, well, if I has a decent or redeemable message, hopefully a message that pleases the Lord. That's for anybody. It's like, I don't think of myself as this person out there who's trying to go wake up. There's the Black community. There's a lot of people need to be. It don't matter if you're Black, white, Chinese, Japanese, Mexican. It don't matter. There's a lot of people out there who could use edification. Right. And I don't assume to be the wake up wizard or the wake up fairy. I know I'm more of the wake up wizard, right? But the thing is, I don't want to. It shouldn't be just a thing where I'm just going to speak this. This is my message is just for this folks. Just because I'm Black. It's like I think it's a message that could speak to anybody, and that's what makes it more. Gives it more gusto, if you will. I think it cheapens it if I just have a message just for one community of people. No, it should be something that fits all cultures. It's a message that could be useful for anybody. I'd like to, I hope so. Not to, try to toot my own horn or anything like that. But if it's a redeemable message, it's a redeemable message for, that could be applied to any nationality, right? Let's see. And yeah, I think that pretty much covers stuff. And, to his comment about there are now supposed trailblazers that I've gained some respect for, but in my eyes, no way match the ability to teach like Alfonso. I appreciate that, and I appreciate that you feel like my voice should have a bigger platform and stuff like that. Um, you know, and yeah, with these people that are out there, that are doing what they're doing right now, it's kind of sad. It is sad that they want themselves to be, they try to brand themselves as these trailblazers who have this new message and stuff like that. And there's been cats like me who are doing it before them, but they don't want that interfering with their brand. So they just kind of they enjoy that my work has been shadow banned, and they just like, they prefer to just let me be left in a dish, and they throw dirt on me and stuff like that. But it is what it is, man. And unfortunately, conservatives latched on to these people. That's the sad part about it, man. Is conservatives latched on to this new generation of conservative commentators and stuff like that. They latched on to the new flavor of the day. People who lack this integrity to recognize that, recognize that there were people doing this before them and really just wanted to make a brand for themselves. And there's consequences to that, and conservatives are paying for those consequences now. I tried to warn conservatives about this, these people who are trying to posture themselves as these new trailblazers and stuff like that. I was like, be mindful of this, man. You guys are going to fall into a trap. And surely enough, they did. It helped. It helped the Democrats pull off this facade that they did. I tried to warn about this, but it is what it is, and it's going to take the Lord to restore the damage that's been done. Let's see. We got Mojo Friday. Right on, Mojo. We got that's why they do it, to appear important. I guess he's talking about that's why they do it, the cancel culture thing. To appear important and intelligent and enlightened and intellectual. Yeah, a lot of that pride stuff, right? Mojo goes on to say these people are almost certainly self-loathing. Yeah, because there's a lot of insecurity that goes along with why they're doing this. I'm not sure how someone can get so bent out of shape over the things that they do if they were happy inside and with themselves. Yeah. It's like they're trying to pass judgment on people for the misery that they're in. A lot of times it doesn't even have to do with what the topic or the issue is. They just got a whole bunch of deep-seated issues. I hear you. Mojo goes on to say, but we, the normal folks, I ain't normal, no, well, relatively, have got to stop letting them get away with it. Remember when we used to ignore these goofy ideas? Now that we give it to them, there's a new one every 5 minutes. We have to stop placating crazy. It's only encouraging it. Hey, I hear you, Mojo. What I've been saying for a long time, because conservatives, a lot of times their response to this is, who cares what these people think? And all. It's like, dude, you can't have that attitude. Millions of people care what these people think. Like when they talk about these liberal celebrities and stuff like that. And I talked about this in the Runaway Slave movie. I said this years ago. I said it's going to get to a point where even Hollywood doesn't have a voice anymore. And you're seeing these people are getting canceled. They're going back and digging up. You said this back then, and they're getting X'd out of jobs and stuff like that. I said, yeah, you guys are going to keep doing this to yourselves. But assuming that nobody cares what these people think, that's not a good strategy. Or just ignoring them. You don't ignore an infection, right? This progressivism is a progressive cancer, and it's spreading. Why? Because a lot of conservatives will be like, oh, just ignore them and nobody cares what they think. Dude, that's not a good idea, right? Ignore, being consumed with what they think and letting their thoughts influence you. Of course, you want to block that stuff out, but you can't ignore that they're out there and that they're influencing people. And you can't just sit there and assume that you can reason with them. You can't. That's not where they live. That's not their minds. They're not wired that way. These people are given over to their imaginations, right? And that's where you have to connect with them. We're supposed to be the adults in the room, right? Come on. Is that the way it is or not? Are we the children or are we the adults? Well, sometimes the adults has to have the smarts to be able to say, okay, I'm going to have to approach this from another angle, right? Sometimes I may have to use a different tool. If you're trying to, drive the screw in from a different angle and stuff, that you can't just use the same kind of screwdriver to get it in. You may have to come up with a different kind of tool to get that bad boy in there. All right. You can't, like, when you, or with a computer, if your computer doesn't understand what kind of file it is, you can't just keep beating on the computer and expecting that it's going to read the file. It's not going to do that. You may have to convert the file. You're going to have, you don't change the content, but you may have to change the way the computer, change the file type so the computer can read it. Right? But conservatives don't do that. Conservatives, you're just supposed to understand. You're just supposed to understand. You're just supposed to understand. It doesn't work that way. If you're the adult in the room, you have to understand that at some point you may have to change your approach, not change the content, not change the principle, but change your approach. Okay? So, but, I guess conservatives just like, no, well, I've got guns. I don't need to change anything. Okay, well, liberals are doing a whole bunch of changing. And before you know it, they're going to be able to take your guns, right? They've taken everything else. Come and take it. Come and take it. They're taking everything else. I'm telling you, man, this strategy is going to have to change. Not the principles, right? Not the content, the strategy, right? The approach. Okay. Let me see. Graham Chinjojo. All right. So sorry if I said that wrong, Graham. Graham Chinjojo says, I've been wondering where Alfonso has been. Last saw his videos back in 2014. This cancel culture is insane. All right, there you go, y'all. People, they don't see me. Like I said, you try to do a cross-reference check on me, and you type in any of these commentators, my name won't come up and stuff like that. So yeah, they've got me buried pretty good. Have for years. Marushaya Dark says, we are lions being shamed by an army of lambs for having teeth and claws. Oh, Marushaya, come on, man. No. Okay, those who lean to the right are conservatives because of your prideful nature, man. Because conservatives want to be seen as big tough animals like lions and wolves and stuff like that. I keep saying, and conservatives like to lean on that saying, a nation of sheep will be governed by wolves. Like, no, you're being governed by wolves because you're too proud to see yourselves as sheep, particularly sheep of the Lord's flock. Because you're too proud for that, that is why we're being governed by wolves, right? These people who are governing us right now, or we're being shamed by an army of lambs. No, they're not lambs. If anything, they may be goats. They may be goats, but they're not lambs. Right? They may be a lot of other things, rabbits or whatever. Not just a deceptive animal, deceptive spirit animal, right? That leads you away from the truth. Okay, just like Easter, right? What does a rabbit have to do with anything? But rabbits are revered. They're long revered as a spirit guide, right? And that spirit guide can zigzag you away from the truth. That's why you got to be careful with things like Easter, represented by that rabbit, right? But the thing is, y'all, you got these people who want to see themselves as lions. And these people are lambs. No, it should be the other way around, if anything, right? You want to be the lambs. You want to have the boldness of a lion. Of course, the word tells us to have boldness of a lion. But if you're going to have the boldness, the person who has the boldness of a lion is a person who has the boldness to be seen as a lamb in the Lord's flock. That's the kind of boldness that you need. We don't need a bunch of knuckle-headed lions out there. You'll be a liability of a lion. You just do more damage. All that pride is going to get in the way. That's what a lion that has no shepherd does. All right, we're supposed to be lambs. That's where the real power is. If you have the humility, the power and the humility to say that I am a lamb of the Lord's, that is when you get the strength of a lion. But you got so many conservatives, they've destroyed themselves with all this pride that they have. We want to be wolves and lions and stuff like that. If you think you're too good, you're too proud, you're too good to be a lamb in the Lord's flock. That's why we deserve to have this country taken away from us. And it's happening too, because of that pride, right? Tell me, man, set that pride aside. Okay. We got Fletch Red Wine. All right, red wine. I'm gonna move for some of that now. Red wine, okay. Bill, being on YouTube, and Bill spells YouTube E-W-E as in a U lamb, right? YouTube only puts you on their game board. You need a secure second outlet like Rumble. The people who have Rumble account, who have a Rumble account, are the same people that were in the town square in Boston standing up to the British bayonets. Okay, see, now here's another person who's shaming what it is to be a ewe lamb. Why? What is the shame in being a lamb? If you're ashamed of being a lamb, If they're ashamed of being a lamb, then that means that you're ashamed to belong to the Lord, right? I ain't ashamed to belong to the Lord. I am one of his sheep, right? Now, as a male sheep, that makes us rams, right? And rams are associated with battle, right? See, when you got the humility, to do, you can see things like that, right? Worldwide, rams are associated with battle, right? Aries, represented by a ram. The Lamb of God, Yeshua, is the real God of war, right? Represented by that ram, y'all. I'm telling you, heck, even Skeletor has a scepter that has a ram's head on it. Come on, man. So, but it's people are passing up the real strength here, the humility, right? The strength in the humility to submit to God and be one of his sheep. But people, they feel like they're too proud for that. And they associate a lamb with something to be ashamed of. When you have that humility of a sheep, that's when the Lord brings the lion out in you, right? So we're doing it backwards, y'all. And maybe I do take it a little bit personal because my name, my last name is Rachel, and Rachel is Hebrew for you lamb, right? That's what it is, right? So my name being Alfonso, which is Germanic, and it means noble. And ready, noble and ready to fight, or ready to fight a noble war. That's what Alfonso means, ready to fight a noble war. My last name being Rachel, meaning ewe lamb. So I would like to think maybe my name means ready to fight a noble war in the cause of the Lord, right? I'm one of his sheep. So, and I don't have no problem with that. Let's see. We got... And now, Fletch Redwine also goes on to say, and I appreciate you commenting, Redwine. I'm glad that you're tuning in. He says that you need a secure second outlet like Rumble. Now, see, here's what we're talking about, y'all. So Fletch is telling us that we need to get on Rumble. Fletch, we've been there. That's what we're trying to tell you. We've been there. Folks don't know about it because our content is suppressed. We can't even tell people, hey, you might want to come find us on Rumble, but we got plenty of content there. Folks don't know. But they keep saying it all the time. You need to be on Rumble. Hardly anybody watches my stuff on Rumble. I got almost no support. I mean, I'm thankful for the people who do follow my work on Rumble, but it's definitely not enough to support my work. Not enough. I unfortunately, I'm still dependent on YouTube. I'm trying to get off of YouTube, right? I'm in enemy territory, and the enemy has stuck it to me and crippled my brand and my finances, but where else is there? If people say go on Rumble, I'm like, okay, well, here I am, and they don't come and support there, right? So that's what we're trying to tell people. Like, people say get on secure, and it's hardly any security in Rumble. Hardly. My security is in the Lord. But in terms of like having a secure outlet to promote my content and stuff like that, Rumble ain't cutting it. It's just not. I'm sorry, but I do have stuff there. But it's the support there is like being a ghost. I'm thankful for those who do tune in there, really thankful, but they're a blessed few. Let's see. Chain link fences deter mosquitoes. I think I see what you're getting at there. Chain link fences deter mosquitoes. Let's see. Yep. He came in as he's talking about Donald Trump here. Chain link, because somebody was making a comment about Donald Trump, and basically, Donald Trump was supposed to do this and do that. And so this commenter comes in and says he came in as a lion and he exited as a lamb. See, once again, y'all, there's trying to put all this exaltation on being a lion and putting this shame on being a lamb. Hey, well, you know what? Jesus came in as a lamb, right? Who is definitely worthy to be seen as the lion. When he comes back, it's going to be all lion all day. But first, he had the boldness to be a lamb first, y'all. Do you know how much bravery that took for him to come in and just say, man, okay, let's go ahead and do this thing. Take them licks that he took for us and then got hung on a cross, the slaughtered lamb. That took guts, man. You guys don't even know. For him to say, it's like, dude, I'm God. I am God. I am God. And I came to you as a lamb, right? That's gusto, man. And you got people out there acting like being a lamb is something to be ashamed of. It took real gusto for God to come in and say, yeah, I'm your lamb. Let's do this thing. Okay. Now, with that, he can come back as a lion. That's what I'm trying to tell conservatives. You really want to be lions? You got to have the humility to be a lamb, but y'all ain't got that. Too many of y'all ain't got that. You want to be seen as tough and you got your claws and got your fangs and all that sort of stuff. We're lions. We're lions. Look at our Trump symbol. He's a lion. What did it get you? What did it get you? Right? Because you're too prideful and you don't have the humility to be the sheep of the Lord's flock. You got to learn the hard way, man. You're hard-headed. It's like I said about liberals. They think they're too smart, so smart they can tell everybody else what to do. And conservatives think they're so smart you can't tell them nothing, right? It's too many of you. Fortunately, I got those who tune in, the very few who tune in, they know what I'm talking. They know what frequency we on. They know what's up. And I thank you guys for that. But let's spread the message, man. Let's let these prideful conservatives know, whether or Republicans, whether they're establishment or whether they're the Trump Republicans, right? It's Trump's Republican. It's not good enough to be the Lord's Republican Party. We got to be Trump's Republican Party, as if he's the savior, as if he's some sort of God who can save America. I'm telling you, man, that's what lost you out. You know, folks, they don't learn. They don't learn, man. Let's see. We got Jay somewhere in flyover territory says a good message, but I really wish that this message could be conveyed to the people who continue to vote Democrat. I just can't help but believe that not enough has been done in this regard. Man, I agree. I'm trying to, it's like, we're reasoning with each other. I keep saying, Democrats, they don't listen to reason. They are given over to their imaginations. All this social justice and all that, and whether you think that there's like 6 or 7 different genders, or you can become one, all that stuff is imagination. The fruits of your labor, and they think that they're entitled to it. They're not entitled to yours. That's all imagination. What's yours is yours. The Lord bless you to be able to work for that and do with it what you choose to do. But they don't think that way. But their imagination tells them that it belongs to them, right? That we should have open borders, that we should have all these things, right? All that stuff is imagination. You understand what I'm saying? How they're given over to their imaginations? That's where you got to be able to connect with them. And once you've connected with them there, then you can deliver the truth. But we don't do. There's not enough support for that. Hardly any support to be able to compete with the imaginative means that liberals do to keep these people spellbound, right? So I hear you, man. But that's what we're trying to do, man. We're trying to get people to support us taking these reasonable efforts of content and take this reason and put it in imaginative vehicles. But y'all, that takes money, right? That's big money to be able to do that. But conservatives keep saying freedom isn't free. Freedom isn't free. Okay, well, pony up, right? Instead of waiting for our country to have to be defended by blood, by sending our troops and our military people to have to sacrifice their limbs and their lives, people sacrificing their families, is that the only way that we show that we can pay for our liberty? Is that all we gonna do? I would rather see somebody pay money. Where are these deep donor class conservatives, who always have money to contribute to some political party's some politician's campaign, but they can't put money towards creative efforts to defend ourselves in the culture? We got to wait until there's a freaking war. We got to wait until there's going to be a shootout before I'm going to defend my liberties. Yeah, give me my gun and I'm going to get out there and I'm going to shoot people. Is that how we're going to, is that the cost the only cost we're willing to pay? Really? That's an insult. That's an insult that we're not willing to say, hey, you know what? Maybe we need to get off of some of this money and support the creative effort to push back in the culture the way that these people are doing, because they're using creative means to come after your guns. Right? That's what they're doing, y'all. But the Second Amendment protects the First. No, you got that wrong. Okay, the First Amendment is being used to erode the Second. It's being abused to erode the Second. Conservatives, like, they keep having to find out the hard way, man. They're going about this wrong. At any rate, but I'm glad you guys are here, man. You guys know what's up. That's why you're a blessed few that tune in, and you have a whole bunch of conservatives, or right-leaning or whichever. They want to just tune into a bunch of provocateurs. That's who they want to turn into, foul-mouthed provocateurs who just want to make liberals melt down and get them triggered and stuff like that because, hey, I guess that's good entertainment. But what's it getting you? What is it getting you? All right? But I guess as long as you're entertained and you're happy about, liberal tears or whichever. We got Back. Back says, BAK, YouTube user Back, says, Zoe, he had every single person in our government. I guess this person is making a defense for Trump. And don't get me, and y'all, for the record, I voted for Trump, right? I'm upset that Biden has cheated his way into the White House. But like I tried to tell conservatives, look, you guys are going to help this happen, right? You're going to help this cheater win. Stop doing what you're doing. You're doing it the wrong way. That's from Trump voters to Trump himself. They didn't want to listen, right? It cost us. Zoe, he had every single person in our government from both parties working against him. Everything from the BS Russiagate hoax down to lying to him about how many troops were deployed overseas. He could have dealt with him. I don't know. He could have dealt. That doesn't make any sense. Here, if anybody had actually had his back in this administration, they lied to him. They lied about him. Not to mention them. He goes on to say, the person here defending Trump is saying, not to mention the media had the Supreme Court not hearing a single case brought to them, all dismissed. This last case didn't even cite a reason for dismissal. If the courts are compromised, that's it, game over. Nobody can fight a compromised court system. Nothing short of the second coming of Christ, literally, would have changed anything. He goes on to say, Bat goes on to say, so you can be unimpressed, but I would urge you to refresh yourself on his accomplishments and then think about how much he had working against him. Mr. Reagan has a good video on some of it, or you could just Google the list of Trump's accomplishments. It's a miracle that he got as much done as he did. He concludes by saying, I know who the hell am I to tell someone that does this for a living that they need a refresher course, right? I'm somebody that cares and somebody that is hurt by all of this. I'm somebody that supports you. I care enough that I have been giving Bill money for 4 years now, and I care because I decided to start a family right before everything went to hell. So take it for what it is worth, just food for thought. Okay, back. I appreciate your comments. And I say this with all due respect when I say this, whatever. His objective was to drain the swamp, right? Okay, now I hear everything that you're saying. He had all these factors working against him. Nobody had his back and all that sort of stuff. Drain the swamp. Okay, drain the swamp. And the reason why I'm saying this, y'all, is because please understand something. Please understand this. When you say that you're going to go in and drain the swamp, did you think, did Trump think? It's like, dude, did you think? And all of you supporters for Trump, I'm a Trump supporter too. But let's be real about it. Don't do him any favors by fluffing him up, right? Be real with them. You want to support him? You really want to help him out? Be real with them and say, Trump, you said that you could drain the swamp. Did you not think that you would have people working against you? Did you think that they were just going to let you do it? You didn't think that there was going to be people who were going to try to tear you apart if you try to expose them? What did you think was going to happen? I'm going to drain the swamp. Of course you're going to have people going to fight you on it, tooth and nail. They're going to pull every dirty trick in the book to keep you from doing what you're doing. What you think was going to happen? Come on, man. You know, and there's dirty crooks all over the world. Dirty crooks running North Korea. Dirty crooks running the Middle East. Dirty crooks running China, right? Dirty crooks all over the place. You gonna drain the global swamp? Well, guess what, man? You're gonna have some opposition. People gonna fight you, man. But you wanted to go in there as the lion, right? You wanted to go in there and a whole bunch of people who thought they were lions. Y'all didn't want to be sheep of the Lord's, though. You wanted to be lions in the pride of Trump, right? That's what you wanted, the Trump lion pride. That's what you wanted. What did it get you, right? It's Trump's Republican Party. Like I said, it ain't good enough to be the Lord's Republican Party, huh? So I don't go for the excuse of he had all these factors working for him. He should have known that going in. You gonna talk about draining the swamp? You think they just gonna let you do that? But that's what you said you was gonna do, right? And that's what you guys all both pumped your chest, beat your chest with talking about some draining the swamp. Okay, right? So, and I tried to tell you guys, this approach ain't gonna cut it. You guys are doing a whole lot of things, and you guys are giving the Democrats exactly what they need to pull off a hoax. I told you, right? Didn't want to listen. You guys just want to listen to Trump, right? So You don't want to listen to, the Lord. You want to listen to provocateurs, and you want to listen to people to stoke your pride and all that sort of stuff. That's what you wanted. I'm trying to tell you, man, liberals going to stick it to you. Liberals going to stick it to you guys. Do this, man. And God's going to be like, hey, this is how you guys want to roll. I'll give you over to it. Right? Read the word of God, man. He tells us that's what he's going to do. Right? So, and people are talking, he's talking about Trump's accomplishment. He got a lot done. Trump got a lot done. Of course he did. Sure, he got a lot done, right? Wasn't sustainable though. It's like, dude, I'm trying to tell you, you can boast about the jobs, you can boast about the economy and stuff like that. That stuff will be pulled up from underneath you because you didn't lay the groundwork for it to be sustainable. There's certain cultural things that you have to do in order for the policy to be held up, in order for the representation to be held up. They didn't do those things. And if anything, they were like their own termites and they chewed up the base of it, right? And they gave liberals everything that they need to chop down the base of it. I tried to tell you, right? Didn't listen. All right. Let me see. CW6983 says, I agree with everything except the notion that the Confederacy didn't want a republic, because I say that the Confederacy, and you guys already know what my response is going to be like, and you guys know I'm already cringing listening to reading this person's response. So let's see. I agree with everything except the notion that the Confederacy didn't want a republic or sought to fully cancel the Constitution. Actually, the Confederacy he goes on to say, actually, the Confederacy wanted a republic and not an empire like Lincoln and Hamilton wanted. Otherwise, I am on board. You guys already know what I'm gonna say. You know what I'm gonna say already, right? But you see what I'm saying? People like this are why Republicans lose. This person is a saboteur. These are the people I keep trying to tell Republicans, yo, you need to check these people. When you see stuff like this, call it out and say, man, no, you ain't in our camp. You do not represent us. Get away from us. We do not know you. These people right here, this right here is a prime example of why people think the parties have switched sides, why people think the Republicans are a bunch of racists, because this person they're too stubborn to understand. It's like, dude, you're stumping for Democrats, okay? When he says things like everything except the notion that the Confederacy didn't want a republic, oh man, you're sadly mistaken. Let me remind y'all, those who are new to my jam up in here, let me remind you, the Confederacy was established by the Democrat Party. Democrats are Democrats for a reason, because Democrats do not want a republic. The Democrats want a democracy. They want what they feel is popular and what they feel entitled to be the law of the land, not the supreme law of the land that is based on the word of God. Democrats want to be able to have the power to outvote what God decreed. You see what I'm saying? That's who Democrats are. Democrats want the popular vote to what they feel entitled to. So no, they didn't want a republic. You can see that in them now. It's the same way it is now. This rebellious attitude that they have against our Constitution, the supreme law of the land, is the same rebellious attitude that they had with the Confederacy. They're the same people, right? This person doesn't seem to understand that. And they're giving Democrats everything that they need to pull off their lie, right? To say that the Democrats didn't want to fully cancel the Constitution, what do you call it when you go to war and 500,000 people die? The Democrats crafted their own constitution, the Constitution of the Confederate States, and they went to war against the U.S. Constitution. Now, if that's not an effort to fully cancel the Constitution, I don't know what is. And that's what they're trying to do today, to totally usurp the Constitution. They wanted a full-on rewrite. They want to overhaul of the Constitution. Okay? Not even an overhaul. They want to do away with it. So it's like, and what you're doing, man, is you're justifying Democrats. You're arguing for them. And you wonder why people think the parties have switched sides. So now this person, and this person goes on to me, and y'all, this right here is so childish. This is such a childish statement, y'all. Dang. Right? Let me go get me some animal crackers and stuff like that to get into childish mindset. Well, actually, no, animal crackers are good for adults too. Them things is good. I'm trying to do that. They need to make them things gluten free, man, because I can get down on some animal crackers. Anyway, give me ADD going up. Okay, look, when you say actually the Confederacy wanted a republic and not an empire like Lincoln, Lincoln didn't want an empire, man. Lincoln, oh, geez, man. Why do you think Lincoln wanted an empire? Because Lincoln stood in the way of what people felt they were entitled to unconstitutionally? Yeah, all people like that are seen. That's what people are going to see people like that as tyrant. Because what you want is not constitutional. What you want infringes on other people's rights. Oh, you're a tyrant because you won't let me have what I feel like I'm entitled to. That's why Lincoln is viewed as a tyrant. Because Lincoln is like, dude, no, you can't have that. You can't do that, man. That's it. That infringes on somebody else's right. That's what people say. You tell them that you can't, like say, for instance, a person feels entitled to an abortion. You don't get to tell me what I can do with my body. It's my body, my business. But I want your money to go ahead and pay for this abortion. But if you tell them that, hey, dude, abortion is actually infringing upon somebody else's rights, you're a tyrant, right? You see what I'm saying? So this person is viewing Lincoln as a tyrant because Lincoln is like, dude, you can't just deprive people of their liberty without due process of law, man. And if you do that, I'll deprive you of your liberty, right? That's how that works. But no, Lincoln is just seen as a big tyrant, so it's the same thing. That's how Democrats have always been. So it's the same way as Lincoln is viewed as a tyrant, the same way that the Democrats view Christians as wanting a theocracy. Christians don't want a theocracy any more than Lincoln was a tyrant. We don't want a theocracy. Making it a law to believe in Jesus is antithetical to what Jesus taught. You don't come to Jesus by law. He is the law. You come to him by choice. We don't deprive a person of their choice to come to the Lord. Okay, so it's the same. It's that kind of thinking on it's really spoiled to say that Lincoln was a tyrant because Lincoln says, dude, you're not entitled to that. And we'll bring our guns against you if you keep trying to press this. All right. So it's the same thing with Christians. Like, no, we're not trying to impose a theocracy on you. We're trying to keep you from imposing your actual theocracy onto us. You're the ones who have this religious idea of all these things that you're trying to do, and you're trying to impose on us, and we're not going to let you. But because we're not going to let you, you try to accuse us of having a theocracy. You see how that works, right? So now there's Rick D, who contributes to the conversation with the aforementioned, and he weighs in, and he says, thank you, JJ. Jay is giving me some props up in here, saying that y'all buy from Zoe. He's got free shipping. I just got a mug right up. Hey, thank you, man. I hope you guys do go purchase some merch, man. I really appreciate it. Help me keep this bad boy going. Okay, so Rick D says that. See, I'm trying not to get irritated, man, when I see comments like this. Rick D says the North had slaves, and Abe offered to enshrine slavery if only we'd stay and pay the taxes. This is where I always part from Bill. Lincoln was an establishment progressive. He was the crony capitalist. He didn't let the South leave for the same reason the left wouldn't let red states secede. Now, someone got to pay the taxes. Wow, man. This person is a saboteur. This person is basically, he's making the Democrats the good guy and Republicans the bad guy. It's exactly what he's doing. Okay, so first let's take this nonsense about the North still had slaves. Why is this nonsense? Because it is a sad mitigating effort to make the South look more innocent, right? Yo, the South had slaves. The North had slaves. It doesn't make it any better that the South had slaves just because the North had slaves. That's childish. It's like, he's doing it too. He's doing it too. Do you realize how sad and pathetic that is? To say that the North had slaves also. No, man, that don't cut it. But let me help you out, man. You know why the North had slaves? The North had slaves too. Yes. Why? Because the North had Democrats also. The Democrats, North and South, were pro-slavery. The only difference between the two is that the Northern Democrats were not pro-secession. The Southern Democrats were. The Northern Democrats were like, hey, man, we should have this whole thing wrapped up in slavery. The Southern Democrats was like, no, we don't want anybody telling us how we're going to conduct our slave states, right? We're going to do this and we're going to do it however we want it. And the Democrats in the North said, no, man, we should involve the whole thing. We can make this whole thing an enterprise of slavery. That was the difference. So yes, the North had slaves too. And you even have some people try to, well, the Republicans had slaves too. When? When did the Republicans have slaves? Republicans didn't have no slaves. They weren't around long enough to have slaves. The second the Republican Party was formed, they went right to war to abolish slavery. So no, Republicans didn't have no slaves. Were there slaves in the North? Yes, because there were Democrats in the North who were pro-slavery and wanted to keep it legal. So this person right here, all he's doing is helping Democrats. You got to call these people out, y'all. The Confederacy was the Democrat Party. They were the rebels against the Constitution then and now. And conservatives like this are ruining it for you guys, y'all. I'm telling you, right? I've been trying to tell you this for years. Talking about Lincoln wanted to enshrine slavery. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He wasn't trying to enshrine. People, they don't look at the full context of what Lincoln says about the expansion of slavery and stuff like that, saying that, no, I'm not looking to end slavery where it already exists. You don't understand what Lincoln was saying by that. When Lincoln says, I'm not looking to interfere with slavery where it already exists. What he's talking about is in the Constitution. Where you're doing slavery in your states, it still has to comply with the supreme law of the land. And the supreme law of the land says, yes, slavery is legal if it's under due process. If a person is convicted of a crime, yes, you can subject that person to forced labor. Yes. You can't just deprive a person of their liberty and force them into slavery. You can't do that. But what Lincoln was saying is like, look, if a person is convicted of a crime, right, a legitimate crime, and due process has been done, then yes, you can subject that person to forced labor. That's the kind of slavery he was talking about. He wasn't trying to enshrine forced labor without due process of law, but as stated as in the guidelines of the Constitution, that way. So this person is totally lying on Lincoln and doing the Democrats a favor. Right. So it's sad, man. These are the people that's trying to call Lincoln like some sort of progressive. No, Lincoln is basically laid out the outline for what the grand old party was supposed to be. He said, look, man, we stick to and contend for the founders of the old. He's because you had the Democrats trying to call themselves people were calling the Democrats the conservatives. And Lincoln's like, oh, heck no, man. These people ain't conservative. They're not progressive. I mean, they're not conservative. They're the progressives. We're the ones who are trying to adhere to the policies of old. Your Democrats are the progressives. They're not the conservatives. We are. So this person has it totally wrong, because Lincoln was trying to make sure that the rights, our God-given rights, were maintained. But to this person, that's being progressive. This person is a saboteur, and we have those in the so-called conservative tent, and they're ruining things. They're ruining things for us, right? It's like people, they seem to not understand that, that Underground Railroad, y'all, that Underground Railroad ran north. It didn't run south. When people keep trying, well, the North had slaves too, right? You got people south of the border trying to run north. Why? Because there's real slavery where they're at. There's real oppression where they're at. But they're trying to come to America and accuse America of being the place of oppression. And that's what people do. You have oppressors who always try to make themselves out to be victims. Right? They'll talk about Northern aggression, how Lincoln sent troops in and did this to the South, right? But the people, and when I talk about the South, y'all, I'm talking about Democrats. I'm not talking about Southern culture. I'm not talking about Southern folks. I ain't got no gripe there. My gripe is with Democrats. And Democrats brought a lot of destruction on y'all. And then they'll try to say that it was somebody else. No, they did that to themselves. It's the same thing with like the Palestine and the Israelites. Palestine, they be doing all this destruction, and then when the Israelites retaliate, they accuse the Israelites of rejection of aggression. It's the same thing, y'all. We do the same thing over here, and you guys are helping Democrats do that. When you have people who make comments like this, you're helping Democrats do that, and you wonder why you lose. Been telling you for years, right? People say the same thing about in the Bible when the Israelites were sent in to go scorched earth on Canaanite tribes, right? All the evil Israel, look what they did, but they don't look at what the Canaanites were doing. The Canaanites, they don't look at what they were doing, right? All the oppression, the slavery, the child sacrifices, all the disease, and all the oppression and murder that they were doing. They don't look at that stuff. All the oppression that they were doing. They just look at, Israel came in and went scorched earth on them by God's ordinance, but somehow the Canaanites are the victims. People do the same. It's the same mindset with people in the South. It was Democrats that brought that on y'all. Democrats with their oppression, it's like they invited a judgment on them, right? That wasn't just Northerners, basically the Republicans coming in and just wanting to come after the South just because they didn't have anything better to do. It's because there was widespread brutal oppression that Democrats wanted to keep legal. Democrats, please stop trying to make it this about the sentiment for your Southern pride. Get that out of the way. It's not doing you any good. Your pride is blinding you. This isn't about North and South. It's about Republicans and Democrats. And Democrats they besmirch what it was to be in the South. And they're the ones who have been educating you and removing the reality from you and got you caught up with territorial sentiment. Your sentiment is caught up in where you're from. And Democrats play on that, use you. But it was the Democrats that were doing this evil in the Southern territories. They were doing it in the North too, right? The Republican Party was founded to abolish these things. You got people like this who are ruining it for us. Let's see, what else we got? What do we got? Okay, I think that's it. That's all my jaw jacket for today. So that thank you so much. Let me see. Just wanted to say hello, some folks. I won't get. I don't want to. If I start reading you guys. What we got? What we got? See, this is disappointing, man. So this is people in our camp, man. Right here. This is people who are ruining it for us. Lincoln was the England says that Lincoln was a tyrant. He suspended habeas corpus and consolidated power. You can disagree, fair, but are his actions in line with the Constitution? Yes, they are. I'll tell you why. Okay. You have, and these usually this comes from the more libertarian types, people who are obsessed with liberty. Their premium is liberty. Their idol is liberty, right? More than the word of God, the author of liberty himself. These people are so caught up with liberty that they're blinded to actually how the Constitution really works to preserve the balance of liberty. So this person is saying that Lincoln was a tyrant because he suspended habeas corpus. Okay, habeas corpus is suspended when a person does not acknowledge the God-given rights of others, right? Just like Lincoln says, you don't acknowledge these rights for these people, I will not acknowledge yours. I will suspend your rights. If you deprive other peoples of their rights, I will deprive yours. Now, habeas corpus can be suspended when it is a campaign of rebellion. Okay, check the Constitution again. When it is an instance of rebellion, you can suspend habeas corpus. Now, what were the South? They were proud, declared rebels. They announced themselves as rebels. We are rebels against the Union. If they announce themselves as rebel, that is an admission of them being rebels. That is an admission. And per the Constitution, rebels can have habeas corpus suspended from them. And that is what Lincoln did. Okay, so I get sick of these people who are so caught up with liberty, even if it's the liberty to impose or deprive somebody else of it because they have the liberty to do so. I have the liberty to deprive you of your liberty. And when somebody comes in and says, no, you can't do that, you want to accuse that person of being a tyrant, you're a saboteur, sir. You're a saboteur, and you are why Republicans lose. All right. So, let me see. There we go. Thank you. Harbor busted out with the quote. The Constitution specifically says, Harbor Entertainment says, the Constitution specifically says the government can suspend habeas corpus under circumstances of insurrection. Amen. Thank you. Right? I know I'm not crazy. I didn't think I was crazy. Right? So thank you, Hardboiled Entertainment. He brings it in. So anyway, y'all. That's all I got for today. That's all the comments that I wanted to address for today. And I thank you guys for coming in and bringing wisdom. I'll go back to your feed. I see some wisdom. I would go ahead and repeat the wisdom that's on it, but I've already said mine. There's no need to repeat yours. I'm just kidding. You guys have some awesome stuff in there, and I will go back and I will examine them a little bit closer. And in the meantime, thank you guys for tuning in for my signal response, and we will do it again soon. Y'all have a blessed day.